this video might come out straight up like once quarantine's over, but you know. Hello. So right now everyone's under quarantine, although I'm kind of not really because I work in an essential store, but I'm still gonna pretend. And I thought, even though I am not in quarantine and have to still go to work every day, that I would still put out some quarantine-esque activities, as in some sewing tutorials that are like kind of not tutorials because like they might not be that in depth, but I'm going to show you what I'm making as I pretend on my days off that I don't have to go to work. So I have this quilter's cotton that's this like really cute, so cute, so precious cherry print. And what I decided to do is make like a peplum style top, but not a peplum top. I'll insert some pictures. This is what I'm fucking thinking. So I already made a pattern and it looks fucking wild right now. This video might come out straight up like once quarantine's over. But, you know, I still gotta go to work every day, so I don't exactly have time to like dedicate myself to making what I want to make. If I was on quarantine, I would get so much sewing done. I would come out with a whole new line if I was under quarantine. But I'm not. And it's okay, because it's really good. I'm really lucky that I'm still making money and all that. But I do want to, like, do some crafts, okay? I just, like, know what I would do if I wasn't working. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my fabric here, and we'll get started. I don't know. I hope it's quick and easy and, like, general enough that, like, you can kind of just, like, cut some shapes that look a little bit like what my pattern is, and you'll have a similar result. Okay, here we go, bitch! Oh, hold on. Before I continue, I made y'all a cute little diagram of the pattern pieces. So just cut something that generally looks like these. No one judge me who like actually knows how to sew and knows proper procedure, because I'm just gonna lay out my fabric and cut it on this little cutting mat that I have instead of going into somewhere that has hardwood or something. So all I'm doing here is starting by flattening my fabric out, get it all nice and crisp. And then I'm going to go ahead and start tracing out my pattern pieces. I trace out my pattern pieces. Most of them are cut on fold, which means if you have a symmetrical pattern piece, you can go ahead and cut it on the fold of the fabric to make sure everything is symmetrical. So usually I go ahead and I do all my pattern pieces without a seam allowance, and then I just add it on using a ruler, and I'm using chalk to trace it out. Once I have that all done on all my pattern pieces, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. One note that we all know, right, is we use a fabric cutting scissors to cut out the fabric. We don't use the paper ones. That's why you can't use the fabric ones on paper. They'll be nice and crisp and nice and sharp, get those fine lines, alright? Alright? This pattern, I have just the front and back, which are both cut on fold, and then I have my sleeves, and I'm cutting those with the fabric folded as well, but not cut on fold, like they're still two separate pieces, because you have two sleeves. I was going to say you have two arms, but not everyone does. So yeah. So I have all my pieces cut for my pattern here. My hair is looking wild, but when is it not? Also, no one judge my little pieces in front here. I put some hair oil in last night because my hair was feeling excessively dry, and that really triggers the trichotillomania. So I like put some oil in it, but now they're like a little too oily. And I don't like, you know, when you like have your shower routine and you can't mess it up or else your hair will be more dry. So we're dealing with it today. For the general making of this, we're going to put the front and back together, and then we're going to put the sleeves on. Should be really straightforward. To start, I just started by sewing together the side seams of the bodice pieces and then serging them. And then I went ahead and I sewed together the side seams of the sleeves, which are on the underarm. I also tried really hard with these aesthetic shots, so please appreciate them. I then went ahead and I sewed the underarms of the sleeves to the underarms of the bodice. And looking back, I probably should have just sewn the front sleeve to the front bodice and the back sleeve to the back bodice, and then sewn those all together in one. That doesn't make sense, but I should have done it raglan style, basically. And I didn't, and I made my life a little bit harder, but, you know, you learn. You live and you learn. You make mistakes, and then you learn from regret. Okay, so here's what I've got going on. I have the front and back sewn together. So front and back are together. This is the front. The front is like significantly bigger on the neckline. And I sewed it along the side seam. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take our sleeve pieces, these little boys. I'm going to take these and I'm going to sew them to the underarm along their underarm, obviously. So I'm matching the back notches on the armhole to the back notches on the back panel of the bodice. And yeah, so I'm going to put those in. I'm going to sew along the curve. And once those are attached, I'm going to put elastic all around the top. Or at least I'm going to make the casing for elastic, but I'll probably finish the bottom part of the shirt first and make sure that everything's kind of like hitting where I want it to, you know? So yeah, I will see you in a second. I'm going to go do that. We have a good amount of the top done. So here's the top. You can see the sleeves are good. We have that oversized look that's going to scrunch up and kind of be a little bit off the shoulder. I'm also going to gather the sleeves and put some elastic in there to give it like a little poof, you know? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron down the channels to put the elastic in, and I'm going to put the elastic in, and then I'm going to transfer this over to my dress form and just kind of get it to a place that I like. So yeah, that's the plan. Just checking in. See you in a second. Okay, so here we are with Barb. Barb doesn't have arms, so accounting for that when I'm doing the stretch. What I'm doing is I have the elastic here in back, and I have one piece that's like kind of where it's supposed to be, you know, like it's the amount that I would need to sew it down. And then I have this piece that I'm like pulling to make sure it's at a good elastic range so it's bunching nicely and also will be comfortable when I'm wearing it. And also be able to wear it up on the shoulder and down on the shoulder. Some versatility. You don't want your elastic too tight. So that seems like pretty good. I'm trying to make sure I'm not like overdoing it with how tight I'm making the elastic. And while I'm here, I'm going to take my leftover elastic and I'm just going to, one trick is to, for gathering on dress forms, is to tie it around tight to the dress form, and then one trick is to tie it around to the dress form and then have it exactly where you want things to hit. So here is the waist. And then like underbust is like around here. So I'm thinking I'm going to bring it up a little bit and see how I like it. So I kind of want it to be like a little bunchy, you know? A little bunchy on top. Make sure we're still getting some bunchiness on back. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of like move it around under the elastic to get a good idea of how the gathers will actually be. I have my other piece ready here that's going to make this flare. I just have to sew it on separately. Whoops, I'm wasting fabric. But we live and we learn, okay? Yeah, this is kind of a good idea of how the top will generally look. It's really like really cutesy, you know, off the shoulder, like springtime. I don't think it's anything like super special, you know, but it's a nice top. It's a good thing to do with fabric. Honestly, I feel like everything I was saying in this clip was completely irrelevant. So I'm just going to voice over instead. And there's nothing to even say about it. It just, I felt like I needed to leave the clip in for context. I don't know, do you hate this? I'm like, how am I that fucking lackluster in that clip? Jesus Christ. Okay, bye. So that's kind of, this looks like a mess, but that's kind of getting at how the top will look. I don't know if like the white balance is a little weird, so it's hard to see. But sleeve. This is where your like boobs are, and then like waist is down here. You feel? So yeah, that's what I'm doing from there. And I'm going to add this piece on to like the main part of the shirt, and then I'm going to do the elastic channel with both my seam allowances in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and string the elastic through, put it back in the dress form, figure out how tight I want it, which will be tight to the body, and then I'm going to go ahead and hem the bottom. And I had a good idea with hemming the bottom. I have this stitch on my machine that kind of looks like vines in a way, and I think I'm going to take some red, this red thread I have, and do that along the bottom, so it'll be like a cute little like touch. So yeah, that's what we're doing now. Alright, I got a little ahead of myself, but here she is. She's all done. So I ended up not needing to remeasure the elastic on the waistband because I only had enough for just around my waist when I tried it on around my sweater, and I was like, that's probably good. That's probably good. So, I'm pretty happy with it. I did this nice little detail on the bottom that you can't really see. Hold on. I'll show you in a second. Okay? I'll show you in a sec. But I feel like he's cute. It's like a cute little number. I don't have anything like this in my closet. I see a lot of things like this, and I don't buy them, so might as well make them with fabric I have that I don't have any other purpose for. So I'll take some little shots of myself in it, and yeah. Alright, y'all, so thank you for watching. I will make probably one more little like summery top with other fabric I have that'll be a little different than this. And we can just like expand your wardrobe if you actually do these tutorials. And if not, if you don't do these tutorials, well, thanks for hanging out, you know? So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do the things that like people tell you to do in other videos, but for me, bye bitch.